Now available in paperback and Kindle, All About Marilyn. Learn all about the struggles of a faded former teen sitcom star in this absolutely fabulous 5-star screenplay. Get All About Marilyn in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com today. Many Hollywood executives think that AI will allow them to be able to make great films because they can go out and cut costs on many of the people who have jobs in the entertainment industry. And these Hollywood executives, who are mostly bean counters, are thinking that they can save lots of money. Unfortunately, what they don't understand is that the medium of film needs people in order for it to work. Now, when it comes to film, you need to understand film is all about people, because the people making a film are telling a story about people. And you need people in order to make a film project work, because film is a collaborative process, and it's a collaborative process because you need more than one person's input in order to make a really solid quality film. Now, when it comes to film, film is something that isn't done in a singular approach the way a writer like myself writes a novel. No, whenever a screenwriter writes a screenplay, they understand that once they write that script, they understand that that script is going to be put in the hands of multiple people, and you're going to have to work with multiple people in order to make that story about a person come to life. Because, again, a film is something that is telling a story about people, but what makes that story work are the people behind the scenes. And if you take people out of the process of film, you're really not going to be able to get a story to come to life the way it needs to come to life. Because as a screenwriter, yeah, I can go out here and write a story, but in the hands of an executive producer, we can see how that story it works as related to logistics, as related to setting up those scenes, and we can also see that logistics as related to making sure that everything stays on budget. And when it comes to a director's job is to make sure that that vision comes to life as related to telling his interpretation of the story. So with those two people, we see how important people are, and we also see how important the screenwriter is as related to the foundations of the story. So you have people in this process, and as there are more people added to this process, such as set decorators, set designers, grips, best boys, cameramen, and actors, you start to see how all of these people have a hand in making this whole story come to life. But there are some Hollywood executives who believe that they can use artificial intelligence to replace all of these people. But if you use artificial intelligence to replace all of those people, basically you're taking away the magic that makes that movie come to life. Because yes, artificial intelligence like the AI Sora program can make images that can simulate life, but film is a collaborative process where things come to life due to people working every day to work on shooting scenes of a movie. Now, when it comes to film, again, you have people working every day on this process, because a screenplay isn't just what I would write to put fingers to the keyboard, because screenplays constantly change over the course of a film, and the spec script that I write will not be the same as a shooting script, and it won't be the same as a shooting script because as you get on location, what you're going to have are a lot of people talking about how to make this scene better, and sometimes what you're going to have are people who are going to say, like the executive producer will talk to the director and say, hey, this scene really, the way the screenwriter originally wrote it, ain't really working out the way it should. So we need to change this scene a bit. We might have to change some dialogue. We might have to change the way the characters interact with each other. And sometimes an actor will come in and say, hey, this line sounds kind of stiff. So film is not something that is just set in stone. No, it requires a lot of different people to work behind the scenes, and AI, I believe, isn't going to work in giving us films that really tell the stories of people and bring those stories to life in a way that allows it to resonate and connect with people. So when I hear a lot of people talking about, oh, AI, and they're afraid of AI, I understand the whole process of film. And again, the process of film is all about telling the stories of people, and you really need people in order to make that process work. You need people working behind the scenes, because while a guy can type something into AI Sora, yes, that may work as related to this process from their perspective. It's not really going to work with the audience, because, yeah, I can type up some things in a scene and put it up in AI and make it come to life. But the whole thing is that I'm not really getting perspective from other people that could make that story better. And that's what the whole process of film does. The process of film is you understand, yeah, I got a vision, but if I'm not the director or an executive producer, I don't really have much to say about it. And again, if I don't have that experience to make it work on film, yeah, I can type in these scenes, but they won't really flow very well. And without people to work in things as related to making sure that the shooting script works, you're going to wind up with a mess. Moreover, there are going to be problems with sequencing and transitions, because film is not just one shot. No, every shot is about 7 seconds, and you go from a establishing shot to a medium shot to a close-up within every 7 or so seconds. So that's something I learned from studying film, because the human eye needs to see different sequences as they move. And this is something that AI really ain't going to be able to do, but is something an editor can do in post-production. And again, all of this, it shows you all of the people behind the scenes that Hollywood wants to say, we don't need anymore because we've got a computer to do this. But a computer would only give you films that come off an assembly line, similar to the way the Chevy Citations and Chevy Chazettes used to come off the line, or the way that many modern MCU films come off an assembly line, where they all basically feel the same. And instead of us getting what makes film great, which is the fingerprints of those directors, what we're going to get are a bunch of just generic manufactured films with AI. And that's why you need people in the process, because the way Tim Burton shoots a film is different from the way Spike Lee shoots a film, which is different from the way Martin Scorsese shoots a film, different from the way that David Fincher shoots a film, or James Cameron. And all of these directors all use different and unique approaches to their storytelling, the same way that I have a distinct approach to my storytelling that is my fingerprint. And that's what makes filmmaking special, is that when we're watching these films, we're seeing films with a unique touch of a director like a Quentin Tarantino, which his films have a very distinct touch. And AI takes all of that away, because what you have is you're taking people out of a process. And what that does is when you take people out of the process, you lose the humanity in film. And that's where AI is going to be a problem, because if you take people out of the film process, then the film isn't going to be a story that connects with people, and it's not going to connect with people because it's not made by people. It's similar to what happens with CGI in a film. It really feels artificial. You don't really feel a connection to it because it looks and feels fake. But when you have people like stuntmen doing the stunts, you go, oh, that's really cool. Or if you have miniatures made by people, you can feel that human touch. So a lot of these studio executives, they're thinking they're going to save a lot of money, but they don't see how AI will cost them in the long term, because as you lay off people from these film jobs, what you're going to do is wind up alienating a lot of people, who will look at these films and not really see anything that they can connect with, and that won't answer the critical question I have to answer when I put fingers to the keyboard for a story, and that is, why should we care? Because people need to feel a connection to something in order to care about it, and it's hard to care about a film made on a computer by a single person. It's hard to care because that story didn't bring any other people in, and if you don't bring other people into the story, they can't relate to your story. So you need people in order for film to work, the same way you need people in order for a novel to work. Yes, I write novels by myself, but when it's time to do the covers, when it's time for me to work with artists, I work with them in a collaborative process to create the covers to get people's attention. And even when I'm pitching a premise to my family or people online, I'm still connecting with people. Like, for example, with Spinsterella Goth Girl Summer, I talked about that in a video, and I was connecting with people. I talk about it on social media. I just don't sit there in a bubble making a story. No, I connect with people because stories are about people, and that's why I believe AI will be detrimental to the entire film medium, because instead of you learning how to work with other people, filmmaking becomes insular, and you really don't want filmmaking to become insular because, yes, like Tyler Perry talked about in a recent Variety article, yes, you can type up a scene that's on the moon or type up a scene in a cabin, but what makes that scene come to life is the input from set decorators who will tell you how furniture works and how an environment and space work, and input from the people like actors who will tell you whether or not dialogue works, because a lot of times when you're writing a story and you're saying something in your head, yeah, it sounds good, but it's not until you go out and read it aloud that you see if those lines actually work. And that's part of my editing technique, is I would sit there and read the lines in order to see if they come alive. And again, that's all part of that human process. And again, films need that human process in order for film to work. So when I hear people, they're getting caught up in the technology as related to their feelings about AI, they're not understanding that film is about people, and they're not understanding that you need people to help you out, because you may come up with an idea for a scene, you may even scout a location, but it's the people who have to have input in that process, because people having input in the process, that's what really makes film come alive. Film comes alive because people are all working together, and that's how you get great films and great storytelling, because people are working with you. They're all working with you, and again, that's what makes cinema great, is all of the people who have a hand in it, because a film isn't just something made by one person. Yes, you may see a Spike Lee joint, or a film by Lee Daniels, or a film by Quentin Tarantino, but there were a lot of other people working behind the scenes, like second assistant directors and other individuals. There are a lot of people working as a part of that process, and all of those people can either make or break a film. And a lot of those people, they are important to that story about that person whose story we're seeing. And that's what we would lose with AI, because film, again, isn't a medium about trying to save money. It's a medium about people. And if people aren't a part of the process, then there's no reason to care about what anything is presented on screen. Now, if you want to pick up my first full screenplay that I wrote all about Marilyn, you can find that screenplay on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. And if you want to pick up the scripts from my first full TV series all about Nikki, the fabulous first season, you can find those scripts on Amazon.com along with All About Marilyn. And I wrote both of those to show my approach to writing a film or a television series, and I know that the only way to get that done would be to work with other people, and what I wrote isn't set in stone because when it comes to screenwriting, it's modular, but that's what I learned as related to screenwriting, and that's why I'm really against AI, because AI takes the people out of the process, and if you take the people out of the process, then you're not going to get good quality films or media. And I have other media on the SJS Direct imprint, which presents a positive image of black people, and you can find those books in my fantasy series like the Isis series, the Esteem series, and the John Haynes series, and my other books like the Spinsterella trilogy, my black sonority novel, The Thetas, or my black vampire novel, Eternal Night, or my men's issues books. You can find all those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them at other online booksellers like Smashware's The iBookstore, Google Play, Barnes & Noble, Walmart, and Target. And if you want to see me talk more about the entertainment industry, you can send a donation to the Patreon, the PayPal, or the Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Support Black-owned and Black-operated digital broadcast media. www.niceradionetwork.com. Nice Radio Network, broadcasting 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.